All right. I think I lost audio. I cannot hear you, Anouk. I'm not sure other people can. Yes. Now we
Right.
can hear you.
Just started the event, and of course, right at that moment, my AirPods are no longer working. But we can do it like this as well. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Office Hours. I hope you can hear me okay, and there's not too much of an echo. But thank you so much for joining us today. So we'll give it a minute or two, and then we'll get started. I'm here together with Danny, so we have a full Dutch panel for you today. We have all of the Dutch employees of Slite, which is 2 people. The chat is open already, so if you want to say hi, let us know where you're coming from. That's always cool to know. And in the meantime, I'll pull up our documents, so we'll be ready to start soon. Okay, so as you can see, we have Office Hours, our May edition today. This session will be recorded, and we'll send out the recording and a link to this document that you're seeing on my screen afterwards. So you can always share it with colleagues or other people, or go back to some of the topics that we're discussing today. As always, on the agenda, we have 3 different topics. So first, I'll kick off with telling you a little bit more about some updates from our side, some new features, some enhancements. Then I'll hand it over to Danny, who's going to talk about our roadmap, what our product team is working on, and what you can expect in the next coming months. And then we'll do a deep dive topic. And today, we're actually going to talk about how do you manage and centralize all of the knowledge that lives within your company. And I see we have people from Egypt, from the Philippines. So already a nice mix of countries, continents even. Amazing. If you have any questions, this is an open conversation. Feel free to drop things in the chat, and I think you can even speak up and unmute yourself as well. But feel free to let us know what's on your mind. I'm going to head over to my doc, which means I won't be able to see the chat. Danny, if there's
I will make sure to
interrupt
bring
me.
the questions. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So, like I said, I want to start off with some of our new features. And the first one, I didn't see anyone from Germany yet, but if we do have some people that are either from one of the German-speaking countries, or German is maybe their native language, we now also have Slide available in German. I'm not going to read this part out loud. I think I could maybe do it because I'm Dutch and German is quite close, but that also means that it's probably going to be extra bad. So leaving it up here and letting you know that German is available in Slide. If you want to know how that works, so let me see if I can. Oh, I'm actually only sharing this tab. I'm going to share again. I'm going to share the whole window so I can actually show you how you can change the language setting of your Slide account. This is better. All right, so if you do want to change the language, we not only have German, but we also have other languages available. And you can do that for your personal account. So you can go into the settings of your Slide account, and under My Settings, under your profile, you can scroll down and you'll find the localization options where you can either change the language, and we have a few more because we're working on some other ones as well, but you can find German there. And another thing that you can also do is you can select which is the first day of your week. So you can either select Monday, Saturday, or Sunday, depending on what is custom for you.
Well, maybe one thing to clarify, these changes will only be affecting your environment, so your colleagues will remain seeing it in other languages, just to make sure that people are not afraid to change the language for
Yeah.
the whole workspace.
Exactly, exactly. For you only, so feel free to try it out. I accidentally switched mine to Japanese, and luckily I know the platform right well, but it was tricky to find my way back to English. All right, so if we go back to the document and talk about the new features of Slite, we also made some changes to the workspace analytics. So we've released what we call advanced analytics, and in the doc there's a little video demonstration here as well. But since we're on the call together, I can show you. So again, if we go to my Slide account and if we're in the settings, every member of a Slide account can go to the Workspace Analytics section. And here you'll find some crucial aspects on the usage of your Slide account. So for example, the adoption, how many documents are created, but also how search and how ask are being used by your team. So really crucial insights to help you understand, like, hey, how is my Slide account, my knowledge base being used? Is it effective, or do I want to make some changes and maybe see if I can push the adoption of, maybe make sure that the right teams are using the knowledge base as I intended it. So this was already there, but the two changes that we made are these. So the first one is that when you select a period for these analytics, before we had some default ones like last week, last month, last 3 months, or all time. Now you can actually also select a custom period. So you can better align it to your needs and what you want to report on exactly. Second new feature here is that for each of these widgets, you can also download the information as a CSV file. So that actually helps you to take this information out of Slide and create your own reporting. So maybe make a quarterly business review and let your team know, like, hey, this is how our knowledge base is performing. I'm just going to pause real quick and see if we have any questions.
So there
Not
was
yet.
one question from Jenna who apparently doesn't have all the languages. I will look into this. It should be available for everybody by now, but I will make sure to check your environment to make sure that it's enabled for you as well.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, let's go back to our document right here. And there's two more new features I want to highlight. And the first one is around ask and search. So in the workspace analytics, you could see how these perform. We made some updates and we think that will actually enhance the performance of ask and search. So if we go back to my main account right here, you'll notice that we've split the two up. Like previously, we had one bar for both search and ask. And depending on if you would enter keywords or if you would enter a question, if you would select ask or not, you could either go to search or ask. But it was a little bit confusing, I have to say. So now we split them up and you can clearly pick the one that you need. So if you're looking for a document, you can click search. If you don't type any keyword yet and you don't have any filters, what you can actually see is a list of your recently edited docs and your recently viewed docs. I know that this is a little bit hidden, but it's one of those features that I personally actually use quite a lot. The other thing is, of course, we can search for a keyword. So we can type office hours and you'll immediately get your search results right here. And you can also filter. So we can, for example, say like, hey, filter them to the business channel, for example. Or maybe I know that Danny has created something that I'm looking for. So this can really help you to narrow down those documents that you're looking for. Clear it, and we're going to go back. Then we also have ask. So ask is a way to question your knowledge base. So while search is really there to help you locate a document, so a document that you know that's out there, ask can help you with a much broader query, I would say. So here you can go and we can ask a question to the knowledge base. So I have no idea if this will give me the right answer. I'm really hoping so. I didn't prepare a question. Yes, here we go. So perfect. So this is more when you have a question, you don't know if there's a specific document, but you need that question to be answered. You can ask the question in multiple languages. Right now it detects that I'm using it in English, but I could also use it in Dutch. It will detect that I'm asking a question in Dutch. It will give me an answer in Dutch, even though the documentation might only be available in English. And at the bottom, we can find all of the different sources that were used for our question. And this here at the bottom is also new. So we can give some feedback. We can say, well, this was actually a good answer. And this helps us and our technical team to understand, like, hey, are the enhancements that we're constantly making to ask moving us in the right direction? Is this really helpful?
Please let us know. Give us your feedback, because it really helps us improve the answers that we give you.
All right. And then the last one I want to highlight before handing it over to Danny is we also made some updates to templates. Have to say that this is a first update that we made, and on our roadmap we have more planned when it comes to templates. So first version, first enhancement, but more is definitely coming. So if you have anything on your mind regarding templates, do let us know. For now, what I want to show you is when you're in your account and you go to templates, you'll find all of your templates right here. If you have an existing template, let's pick my office hours checklist, for example. What I can now do is I can immediately make any changes. And when I do that, my template will be updated. It's auto-saved. And I can also, from the template picker, already add a cover image. That was something that was previously not possible, but I can now actually select something and add it to my template. And it's ready. I can use it, but I can also go back to another template. Have a look here, maybe make some changes. So it's a really fast way of updating your templates and preparing them for you and your team to use on recurring topics. That is it from my side. I'm going to hand it over to you, Danny, for the next section.
Perfect. So thanks for the first explanations of these features. We today actually shipped a quite extensive changelog that I'm now copying into the chat. So you can have a look and see all the changes that we did this month. One thing that we started doing as the product has been growing the last 2-3 years, and we built a lot of new features, we have decided now to take some time and reflect on what we have and actually start improving the features that we have in the application. So our current roadmap is all about enhancing the features that we currently have, just improving, making things more visible, improving the interactions and the UX of the existing features. And the upcoming periods, we will be focusing on comments, which I will now show you what that is all about. I hope I can actually share my screen. Let's see if I can find the right button. There we go. And here we go. So if all goes well, you should be able to see my screen now. So this is the changelog. Have a look. There's a lot of things in here. Hopefully it will address a lot of the feedback that all of you gave us, and please keep that feedback coming as we are constantly refining our roadmap. Also, make sure to join our Slack community. It's on the bottom of the invite for this meeting. There you can leave all your feedback as well. We try to respond as quickly as possible, but we also show you sometimes or invite you to demos that we do or user tests. And one of the user tests that we are currently doing is about comments and the global UI. And these are two projects that I want to emphasize a little bit. So comments, of course, is like a really crucial part of any knowledge base, especially when you're editing and refining your documents. You want to have feedback from your colleagues. And we as Slite also want to have your feedback on these specific topics. So in this case, we got quite a lot of feedback on how our comment system works. People like how clean it is, but navigating, especially when you have a lot of comments in your document, can be a little bit cumbersome, especially when you jump around between different comments. You can lose track of where the comment was or like who left it. So this made us decide to really deeply look at the current state of comments and come up with a solution that hopefully will serve especially the situation where you really want to focus on the feedback from your colleagues on a specific document. So what we looked into navigation to improve that, but also the visibility of the comments itself. And we now are working on adding an additional layer of our comments, and this will be through an additional side panel. So we will keep the current comments as is, so you can highlight your comments in the document as you are used to. You can still do a global comment on the entire document, but when you click on the top bar here, as you can see, the new side panel will appear, and this gives you a clear overview of all the documents that are in the document, so you don't have to jump between them. You can just quickly see all the comments in one place. And with this, there also comes an additional feature where you can leave multiple global comments. We currently only support one global comment at a time, but this allows us to show more global comments at the same time. And this is what it will look like when you have a lot of comments. So you can click one overview, see what new comments are. You see if things are read or unread. You can also now make a comment unread. Even if you have read it and you want to come back to it, you can just mark it as unread, something that we didn't support before. Yeah, that's in a nutshell the new comments that will come hopefully in the next 3 weeks. We would love to get your feedback early on. So if you join the community, we can give you access to the earlier version of this. Yeah, we were really excited about this small improvement. I think it will help a lot of you just navigating the feedback you get on your documentation. So this is the first step. As I mentioned before, another project that we are working on, which is a little bit earlier stage, is global UI. As I mentioned, we are really refining the features that we have. And funny enough, we sometimes get feature requests for features that we already have in the application, which is a shame, but we have been building so many different features in the last years that some just got a little bit tucked away. So with this global UI project, we want to ensure that we optimize just your flows to make sure that we show the features that are important to your flow, so we can have just a little bit more easier way to navigate and quicker way to write your documents and optimize your documents and verify your documents, all things you need to do a better job with Slite. So again, streamlining the entry point of the navigation was one thing. We heard your feedback on search and ask. There was a lot of confusion around when to use ask, when to use search. So we made that really clear that we have now a clear split, also for easier discoverability. But next to that, we are now experimenting with what we call the bottom bar, where you will see UI elements that are relevant to the tasks at hand. So we really want to optimize and help you work as efficient as possible. So features like verification is now accessible from the bottom. Also AI features to help you write your documentation. A table of content is another feature that people have been asking for. We actually already had from the beginning, but it was so hidden that we decided to make it more prominent and more visible for everybody. And also comments will be becoming part of the bottom UI. And this is what it will sort of look like as we are refining. If you are interested in joining our testing phase, join the community again, and we would love to hear your feedback on all of this. So yeah, that in a nutshell, the global UI. You can see here also ask questions on your document, refining with AI. These are all features that will come in the next months. Besides the global UI, we will continue working on tables. Tables is one of the most used features, and we know and we hear your frustration with tables sometimes. It has some powerful features, but sometimes it's lacking. So we will double down on tables as well to make sure that it just aligns with your expectations. It just works seamlessly. We recently did a big improvements on the performance of tables, and we will keep on improving just the functionality to make it more seamless. And also the next two tables, we will focus on formatting. So we will add some additional headings, probably heading 4. People have been really begging us for more control for headings. So we will make some tweaks there, but also some additional tweaks for just making the editing experience a little bit better. So that is in a nutshell, global UI, comments, what we will do on tables and formatting. And just to give you a little glimpse, I hope I can share this on my other screen. There we go. This is what the global UI will look like. So you have a quick way to navigate. You can pull up your table of content right here. You can pull up the comments. It's not working right now as we are currently working on it, but you get a glimpse of what it can look like. So yeah, please let us know, give us feedback, join the community, and we would love to start improving this feature. That is for me, the part I wanted to share with all of you.
Amazing. Can you hear me okay now? I think I fixed my
Perfect.
AirPods.
Yes.
Yes. All right. We do have a question in the chat from Vicky. So she's asking what languages are available for Ask. And Danny, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Ask pretty much supports any language.
Yeah. So technically, I think it's we for the language detection we are using a version of OpenAI which is running on our service. So we're not sharing anything with them, but we are using their technology. And I think it's around 115 languages that's being supported right now. So quite a lot. Even like Dutch dialects are supported. So it's pretty robust.
Yeah, so for our Slite UI, we have a couple of languages that you can switch it to. But if you ask a question in Ask, pretty much any language is supported. And second question, how can I suggest or send feedback on the use of tables?
So there's multiple ways. We have a feature, and Anouk, I think you can better explain. We have a way to, within the app, leave feedback. You can always email me or Anouk, it's also fine. We have the intercom functionality, or you can join the community, which I think I said it a couple of times right now, but we really enjoy getting you into the community and to hear your feedback directly. Yeah, there are multiple ways. You can choose whatever you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't ever hesitate to send us any feedback, no matter how small. Like, these things are really helpful for us. Seeing another question, which version of ChatGPT are you using?
That's a good question. I think it's 4.0 at this moment, or we are experimenting with it. It's maybe still 4, but we try to keep up as much as possible with the latest versions that are available.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to note that there is part of the technology is built by Slite, and we use the OpenAI model for some of it. So it's a mix. It's a mix of Slite and ChatGPT. But definitely, like, we're constantly enhancing Ask, and trying to make it better. Again, also based on your feedback. So definitely keeping up with the latest technology. And Jenna, I saw your comment about sometimes moving back to Google Drive. So if there's anything in particular that you think is missing when you're editing policies in Slite, do let us know, because this is really a topic that is coming up for us right now. All right, All right. Yeah, I do see another question. So before we head over to the next part, are there any limitations on using the AI prompts? It depends. So if you are on our standard plan, or maybe even our legacy free plan, there are some limitations. You get a certain number of queries depending on the number of users you have in your account. If you are on the premium or the enterprise plan, there's no limit. In the meantime, I'm going to pull up my screen again, or my window, I should actually do, and then we can slowly move to our third subject, our third topic. You can also see that here, so I'm still on our office hours document, which will be shared with you afterwards. At the bottom of the document, you also have the link to join the community, in case we didn't say that enough yet. Oh, and then I see a very, I assume, technical question that I don't know how to answer. So we have a question from Joel. Does Ask AI support CRUD operations? Does that ring a bell for you, Danny?
I think, yeah, it's a very good question. So currently we allow you to edit the document itself. We haven't built anything out to manage documents in the sidebar or creating new documents or anything else. At least I assume that's what you are hinting at, but let me know. We are still like looking into new ways to add it, but let us know what you would like to do, and I hope we can add it to the roadmap. So.
Just as out of curiosity for me and maybe some other people that were confused about the question, what does it mean?
It's I think I'm not sure what the acronym stands for. I think it's editing. Maybe you can help me out, Joel. Please type it in. I'm not sure. I need to find what the acronym stands for. It's doing operations, I guess, on document files and updating and reading and deleting the things.
All right, I see another question. So we're just going to stick with the questions, because I think that's always the most interesting part of office hours. So question from Stephen. We're currently reviewing our Slite and knowledge management processes. One area of focus is the verification of pages based on our own criteria that we're agreeing. Any scope for this other than hitting the API? I think for now, the knowledge management panel is what we have. As Danny mentioned, like the core areas of our roadmap don't touch the knowledge management panel. We definitely have the API available to automate some processes, but as for now, I don't think we have anything planned, but it's good feedback. Yeah. Oh, and the acronym: create, read, update, and delete. Got it. That actually sounds familiar.
I need to double check the R. I was not sure, but yeah. So we have an API. There are some people that are doing really creative stuff with the Slite API and their own AI integrations for that. So there's a Zapier integration that you can do smart things. But we would love to hear the use cases that you have in mind, and like hopefully we can actually build it in our application. So that will be it will really useful for us as well.
Absolutely. And so we have an API. One of the things that you can also find in the changelog is that we're constantly adding new scopes to the API. So we just recently added the last updated scope, how would you call it, to the API. So that gives you more ability to create your own custom workflows. Okay, I still see people typing, but maybe I can already slowly move to our document and just do a quick introduction of the topic that we wanted to discuss with you today. So when I'm working with our new customers, when they're onboarding onto Slite, like often the goal that people have for Slite is like, I really want to build this single source of truth. Like I want all of my company knowledge to be part of this one tool. Like people go there and they know that this is the information that they need, the information that can be trusted. And for today, I actually want to challenge that a little bit. So I want to move towards, away from having a knowledge base as a single source of truth to maybe see it more as a single entry point of truth. So I also wanted to ask you a question in the audience. Which type of knowledge is the most difficult to capture in your organizations? If you have an answer to that. And keep the questions coming as well. Don't worry about that. So do you see a question?
I will reply quickly to Vicky.
Yeah.
We do support Markdown. Part of the upcoming formatting improvements that I mentioned earlier is aligning the Markdown support. Our intention are like there are multiple flavors of Markdown out there, so we want to really align the Markdown support that we currently have with the one from GitHub, and I think also GitLab is using the same, as most of our developer users are using either one of these platforms. So we will add more support for the missing Markdown functions that we have currently.
Yeah, I'm already seeing developer content is hard to capture in a knowledge base. I would say that's similar to us. Like oftentimes it's hard to always have our Slide account, our knowledge base, even for us, up to date with all the latest features. Danny and I do our best, but I think there's still like a little bit of a lag to capture everything. And then we see onboarding knowledge. Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, it's definitely a challenge for many people to create, but also to maintain this single source of truth, because companies are moving so fast and things are changing constantly. You have different departments with different owners. And that's also one of the reasons why we, for example, looked into external sources. So maybe you've already heard about this feature, but to combat this issue of not always being able to capture all knowledge in your knowledge base, and also sometimes realizing that some company knowledge, probably the knowledge base isn't the right, the right place for it. We made it possible to connect external sources to Slite. And what you can do with that is we currently have 3 different tools that you can basically plug into Slite, which is Google Drive, it's Slack, and it's Linear. And information from those tools can be taken into account for search and ask. So for us, for example, to give you an example, we heavily use Slack, and that's where you always learn about the new features first. Our developers would come into the updates channel and they would say like, hey, actually this week, this is what I finished. I made changes to the workspace analytics. We now have the ability to set a custom period. You can also download all of the different numbers to a CSV, and it's available to everyone. Then it usually takes me a little while to update that in our knowledge base. But by plugging that updates channel into Slite and I ask a question, let's see if it works. Again, I didn't test this. It can actually take information from those external sources. And yes, it is working. I'm lucky this time. And you can see that to answer my question, it took information from Slack, from our changelog, which we updated, from Slack again, from Danny, and from our product channel in Slite itself. So it really captured information from different sources, and it made sure that it gave me the most accurate and up-to-date answer to my question.
This is particularly helpful as I, for instance, did the changelog. I updated it this morning. I wanted to double check things, and I didn't have to go out to the other tools to go to Slack and see what kind of like tweaks one of the developers did. I can just directly ask the question and stay in the flow without like switching context or anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, we hope we hope that this will also help you improve your documentation as well.
Exactly. And it's the same for linear, for example. Like if you want to understand, like, hey, is a project already being worked on? Is it finalized? Where are we? Like that's information that you're not constantly are going to update in your knowledge base, but really something that lives in your project management system. So for example, linear. And when it comes to Google Drive, that's one thing that I see with maybe companies that work with a lot of clients. So agencies, for example, they will have customer-facing content. So maybe presentations that they did or quotes or other materials that they have prepared and shared with their customers, which again isn't quite a fit for the knowledge base. It should really live in a file storage system. But again, it can be really helpful information for a new employee that's onboarding, or when you're onboarding a new customer and you think like, hey, their use case is actually quite similar to this other customer that we worked with. How did we do that? What did we do in the presentation? And by plugging in that customer folder from Google Drive, you can make that available in your knowledge base. And again, like Danny said, you don't have to leave your flow. You can still use Slite as, the entry point of truth, as we like to call it. So just quickly going back to the chat, which is all looking good. So yeah, right now we have these 3 sources, but we're looking to expand. So again, if you have any suggestions, anything that could be helpful for you, let us know. I think frequent requests are around Microsoft, because we do have a lot of customers that use Microsoft tooling. And also one that I've been hearing quite a lot lately is around ticketing systems like Zendesk, for example, or Intercom, to be able to understand like, hey, what are the tickets? What are the conversations that we're having with our customers and how are we responding to those?
Yeah, so it depends a little bit on the source. What kind of like we need to do still some custom information tweaks to make sure that we extract the right information. So we are also looking in things like GitHub and really determine what is really useful information for you to ask to not add too much noise per channel. So there is still some customization, but along this development, we are looking into how we can make this a more scalable, sustainable method. But those features will come a little bit later as we are still learning and optimizing the code base that we currently have.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is more a view into the future and a little sneak peek into what we have available right now. Just quickly showing you as well in the settings, you have the external sources tab. And that allows you to plug in specific Slack channels, for example. So it's not your entire Slack account, because that will be super, super noisy, or folders that you have in Google Drive. So it allows you to specify like, hey, use these sources, but not everything. All right, I see we have 5 more minutes. So 2 more things to highlight, and you can always go back to the doc. You can view some more resources on these topics. But in this similar fashion of a knowledge base, that is the first place you go to find information. I also want to highlight our Chrome extension and our Slack integration. And these are slightly different than the external sources, because external sources is really about feeding information into your knowledge base. The Chrome extension and the Slack integration is basically making your knowledge base available in different places. So in Slite itself, of course, we have search and ask all the way at the top, available to you very easily. But what you can also do is you can download our Chrome extension. And then no matter what you're doing, if you're in Zendesk or in another tool, you're coding, I don't know, you name it, you can easily pull up search or ask. And you can immediately ask a question to your knowledge base, get the answer without having to navigate to Slite. Maybe if you don't have it open every day, like us, this is a really good way of getting easy access to the knowledge that lives there. And again, if you don't type anything, if you don't have a search query or a question, you can also easily navigate to maybe documents that you have been working on recently, or those that you've viewed recently, just to quickly go back to those. Last one, not going to demonstrate it because we don't have enough time, but do want to point out that we have a very robust Slack integration, which, you can bring Slite to certain channels in your Slack account. And then when you ask a question, Slite can actually detect, hey, that's a question, and I have documentation that can answer this question. So instead of having to wait for a colleague to answer your question, Slite can actually step in and say like, hey, maybe I'm able to help you. So again, that make sure that you can continue your work. You don't have to wait for someone, and you utilize the knowledge in your knowledge base in the best possible way. All right. Any final questions before we wrap things up? If you do have some questions or feedback after the call, like Danny said, feel free to ping us anytime. What you can also do, this is a public doc, so it doesn't show, but let me open up another account to show you. If you're in your Slite account, you have this question mark right here at the bottom, which opens up our help center, and you can contact us from here. So it opens up, we use Intercom, and you can submit product feedback. So it's a nice form you can fill out, let us know what kind of workflow you're hoping to achieve, how important this is for you, and it immediately feeds into our feedback tool. And of course, you can also send us a message.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Yeah, that's it for today. Thank you all for joining, for the good questions, for the valuable feedback. And let us know if anything else comes to mind, if anything else comes up. And hope to see you for the next session next month.
Thank you so much.
Right. See ya.
Bye-bye.